We Are Who We Are from Francesca. Oh gosh, I feel like I'm not going to say this name right. Manueri, is that correct? Francesca Manieri
Hmm.
and Luca Guadagnino, which
There
is
you go.
that's the name right there.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, we've talked about Luca a couple of times on the pod, but I think most notably for "Call Me by Your Name,"
Yes, sir.
which go check out that review if you haven't. Definitely a one of our strongest, I'd say, in terms of breaking movies down.
It's our most
And
watched.
yeah, for sure. And even better with this new HBO show. My guy Dev Hynes is composing this, Dave. Dev Hynes from Blood Orange, one of my
Hmm.
favorite artists of the last couple of years. And I think these two together make a lot of sense to me because when I think about both of them, I think about very unique artists in their own respects, right? Luca
Yeah.
has a very specific artistic style, storytelling beats. Like he's a distinct director. And Dev Hynes also a very distinct composer and
Hmm.
musical artist. And this show definitely has a very distinct feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious comparisons when you have a television show set in Italy following a teenage boy from Luca Guadagnino is, of course, Call Me by Your Name. Those comparisons are obvious. And honestly, if you squint and look at Dylan Grazer, you can see
Mhm.
a little bit of Chalamet too. They're kind of a similar face. It's kind of uncanny. But and then you think about Dev Hynes, right? And the musical choices. In this first episode, there are some distinct musical drops, notable songs. This show is taking place specifically in 2016, so you kind of have that frame of reference that become more clear later on, from what I understand. But a Kanye West "Devil in a New Dress" drop, right? Action
Mhm.
Bronson in the showers. Chance the Rapper, same drugs. I think a really
Yep.
choice drop there. Reminds you a lot of Call Me by Your Name, really distinct musical drops. The Psychedelic Furs when Army Hammer's dancing. And of
Mhm.
course, those two Sufjan Stevens songs, Mystery
Yep.
of Love and uh, Tales of Gideon or whatever, Visions of Gideon,
Mhm.
right? Uh, it feels like Luca making a movie that's 8 hours long. He's kind of doing his Lou Nino things, and that's really cool. And I'm very interested to see what happens because I think this first episode of We Are Who We Are is intentionally ambiguous in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
And our lead character, I think we're gonna by all counts we're gonna be exploring his coming of age, his sexuality. Is he gay? Apparently, the show isn't going to be super clear about that. Or is he bi? Who knows, right?
Mhm.
The other character that he's going to come across with, trans, not sure, right? Ambiguity is like the name of this show, and I think that's just really interesting to me. Um, I don't love our lead protagonist as a presence at the moment. Dude's like an aimless teenager in a new world, finding himself. That's not a new idea, but it's tough for me sometimes when the kid's like a prick. And this kid was kind of disrespectful on this first episode. I'm sure that that'll change and not be the point in short order. But I was like, man, this kid kind of sucks right now. So that was keeping me down. But you can see the style, you can see the um, specific artistic choices from Luca already in one episode. So I'm very interested to see what's next.
Yeah, the key scene for me feels like it was the scene where Fraser, after kind of wandering around all day, sitting in his kitchen, he had just been, I think, patched up by his mother's, is it girlfriend, fiance? I'm not
Wife, I
sure.
think.
Wife, okay.
Yeah.
Um, and he's sitting there with his mom, and she's about to cut that whatever that was. It was like a I don't even remember what the food was, but he like slaps her for not cutting
Right.
it thin enough, and then they end up having like a kind of a fight and kind of not a fight. But the heart of this show, I think, is like you mentioned that ambiguity, but also like um, that sense of like loss and you like how you like take that loss or like that lack of a solid base in a lot of senses and you try to cope with that and it seems like they cope with that by like finding each other, these teenagers on this army base, but also I think they end up like finding themselves within this, like what
Mm-hmm.
does it mean. And I think that's the thing, is like you have Fraser You have Jordan Christine Seaman, who plays Caitlin.
Right.
Francesca Scorsese plays Brittany, daughter of Martin Scorsese. Very interesting.
Oh, is
Um,
that right? Oh, I didn't
yeah,
notice that.
and I think it's like Helen Moore or something like that. But anyways, they all seem to have like their own stuff that they're dealing with as being children on this army base, and I think as they kind of go through this story, it's going to be more about how by finding each other they find themselves, kind of like that, cliche trope. The really interesting piece of all this to me is it seems like it's also going to be pulling in some really adult I don't want to say adult themes because obviously the whole thing is adult theme, but more so like it was interesting when his mom, Sarah, who plays Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
um, Chloe
Chloe
Sevigny,
70. Yeah.
um, when she is having that ceremony where she takes over like the base, command of the base, and the colonel is like, we had two suicides, 27 whatevers, and like another horrible thing that happened last year. Good luck, and like it seems like that's going to kind of be like this overtone to all this is like
Yeah.
these like issues that these people in the army have and like how dysfunctional these people on the base actually can be at times, which I think is really interesting. Almost kind of like a microcosm of like the United States and another country. So I think it's a cool setting, interesting plot line, like you mentioned. It's another like potential Call Me by Your Name type show, that's also going to be pulling in, I think, some political and social commentary about the United States that um,
Right.
seems well thought out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Kid Cudi's presence on this.
Really?
From what the reviews are saying, his presence on the show as someone who isn't a fan of having a lesbian boss, as a fellow military man,
Mm.
and also I believe there's a scene where he gets MAGA hats uh, delivered to the base because again this is set in 2016 and that'll become more clear. But just because like Cuddy did not elevate Westworld season 3 the way we hoped. So I'm just
No?
hoping this hits a little better. That's all.
Did anybody elevate Westworld season 3, Dave?
Aaron Paul did not either.
No.
We have a lot of Westworld thoughts. Check those out because
Yeah.
golly, that just sucks.
Yeah, if you want to hear us like put a lot of praise on something, go listen to Call Me by Your Name review and then go to the Westworld season 1 and 2 end reviews, and you'll get a very different look at us. Any moments? You mentioned the musical drops, but any like moments from the first episode that really stood out?
Um, I think it's really stark, and to see that shower scene, right?
Yeah.
Luke is like, yeah, we got all these cut soldiers. Here they are nude.
Yep.
And it actually makes sense for the character from what we understand is going to continue to happen. I think the beach scene also is pretty memorable. Just kind of watching this kid get not low key, openly picked on and stuff. But like all these moments where Frasier is just like vibing out, right? And it's like he's just chugging the wine, throwing the shit in the streets. Like, man, he's these kids seems kind of lost, dude. But then you have like that brief moment when he's talking to those seamstress people, and he's like, "Yo, you know Raph Simmons?" It's like, man, yep, this is a rich kid from New York, right? Not a rich kid, but privileged kid. It's pretty funny. So yeah, for me, it's just the whole vibe really of when he's kind of walking around by himself, or with Scorsese's daughter, and Luca just kind of gets to shoot it in the way he likes to do things, where it's really like sensationalized and vibey. So
yeah, no, I agree.
That's my favorite part.
No, I agree, and just Luca's camera work is very intriguing and interesting, and the way he just blends it all together. Just it's even though you don't really love, I think, any of the characters yet, it's still a fun hang for the most part and an interesting hang. So something I'm looking forward to watching more of. Any last thoughts before we move on to another HBO show?
No. Looking forward to it. It's kind of cool that this is just another show HBO has to put out. I feel like they've been delivering all year. And like their Sunday night's so packed right now that this is on Monday.